Hello and welcome to the coronavirus update for the 7th of May 2020, where today we're mostly going to be taking a look at what's next for America. The general status of the world is there's just under 4 million cases in the world, just over 250,000 people have died from this, which is a death rate, if you're looking at just the confirmed cases versus the deaths, of about 7%. US is about a third of the cases in the world. Conspicuous patterns are within Europe. The pattern continues. They're virtually everywhere that had it bad in Europe. Most notably Italy. Looks like it's getting a lot better. Spain also had it very bad. Looks like it's getting a lot better. Germany is looking a lot better. France, despite erratic counting, is getting better. The only outlier is the United Kingdom, who doesn't look like it's getting better at all. And at this point, I'm going to swap over to new daily cases, where basically they've gone up to about 5,000 cases per day and plateaued there. Whereas if you compare that to, say, Italy, they very quickly went up to, all the scales on the bottom here are the same, by the way. So Italy, they had it bad sooner. They went up to 5,000 cases per day, and they've been going down ever since. Spain looks mostly the same. In fact, Spain looks pretty good. The other conspicuous outlier is the United States, where it's basically gone up, and I'm going to take this as the peak value. It became very close to having a new peak value a few days ago. Anyway, so I was using this to predict, when will America get down to the levels of new infections per day where the state of emergency was declared. And the state of emergency was declared back around here somewhere, where there were about 500 new cases for the day. So this is now actually what the data looks like. That's actually the same graph that you were just looking at. And very early on, I used my intuition. I've just put in what I thought would be a sensible line through there. And so, the red data is, data since my prediction. And, that means that you're at about day 30 at the moment. It's about 2 months until you get down to state of emergency levels of new cases in America. I was also tracking, another thing that people would probably be interested in is, what's the expected total death tolls here. So here I have my spread rate. So this is, you take a look at how many people have the virus on one day and the next day, and the percentage increase is the spread rate. So the world spread rate for basically all countries is about 1.3. And the blue line here is America, purple is Italy. They sort of follow similar curves, but you can do a similar thing with the deaths. And this is what the curve looks like for the deaths in America. And once I got down to this sort of point, I made my best guess prediction of what the spread rate would be like, or the increase in the deaths would be like. And I started making that model about here somewhere, and this was the prediction that came out of it, the blue line here. And you see the purple data has been largely following that for about a week. It's probably going to come out somewhat on top of this. That's 110,000 deaths in total that you're looking at there. But what I wanted to look at today is Trump has been making lots of noise about wanting to reopen the country. Now, if you do this, the virus is just as infectious as it ever was. And even if you take a look at some of the more infected countries, there are 300 million people in America, and only 1 million of them have been diagnosed as having the coronavirus. So that's 1/3%. Even if you bump this number up by an order of magnitude, you're still only looking at 3% of Americans have had the virus, which means that it can burn through the rest of the population still. Right? There's nothing to stop it doing that. And the only thing that's going to stop it is if people take the social distancing seriously. So, I actually ventured out. I'm in Czechia at the moment. I ventured out on to the public transport for the first time since the lockdown was announced, and was stunned at how well people were how disciplined people were with the virus hygiene stuff. So everyone had masks, which is largely ineffective for stopping you getting the virus. But if you're infective and you're coughing stuff out, it reduces it by, a few orders of magnitude how infectious you are. So everyone had masks. No one touched anything. And, when it came to all the doors on the trams, the buses, the metros, they're all set to automatically open on every stop. So no one has to touch the buttons. And even when people were using the lift, they were using gloves to push the buttons. So, even if you were to completely reopen like this, you've probably reduced the viral spread rate from its natural rate of about 1.3 to sort of critical threshold levels where the virus is happily contained. Right? So, if everyone behaves like that, it's fantastic. However, I was talking to my brother who's in the UK, and he was saying that, he was, he took the day off, because tomorrow's a holiday and all that sort of thing. And basically, everyone was just continuing on like normal. That he was saying that he went to the DIY store and it was probably busier than normal, which no one's wearing masks, and I didn't get as to how were people wiping down trolley handles before using them and all that sort of thing. I don't know, but unless you take the spread rate seriously, unless you get the spread rate down from about 1.3 to below the red line is where you have a stable number of virus cases. So you have to get it down by 5/6. Unless you do that, it's just going to explode on you again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what sort of minor effects we would need on the American curve here, and what sort of effect it's going to have on the final death toll. So at the moment, with our model, assuming this is all in lockdown at the moment, once really relaxed the lockdown in America, you're still looking at 110,000 dead in total. So I made a copy of this sheet so I can diddle with this curve to see what sort of effects we might get. So at the moment, purple is the actual data. Blue is what it's predicted onwards from. Okay, I'm going to change the model from this date, right, which is basically this number here. Right? So what we're going to do from this day forwards is we're just going to increase the spread rate by some minuscule amount. So, boom. That's what I'm going to do. Spread rate starts climbing up by 0.5% per day, which means after about 2 weeks, you're up to about a 1.1 spread rate. What does that do to your death toll? Well, your death toll's all of a sudden gone, right? Bear in mind, this was your 100,000. You've gone up to almost 2 million, right? Just from this gentle incline here, it's worth more than a factor of 10. And of course, that's you've got to get it down again at some point, and to get it down again takes an extended period of time. In fact, we can probably whatever. Let's live a little. Let's extend this to 150 days. Oh, it is to 150. Let's extend it to 200. Well, that's a long way in the future, actually. So we're in day 60 at the moment. Yeah, they're sort of arbitrary. They're from, I forget what the first day was on this. So we're going from day 60. So this is 1 month. This is about 2 months. So that would be 1 million dead by, what are we in? Beginning of May, June, July. July 4th, you'd be looking at 1 million dead if you just had this modest increase in the spread rate. All right, so it really is all down to, even if you're going to reopen, you absolutely have to do the social distancing, and you got to take it seriously. I mean, if you don't, the virus spreads, and you're looking at, rather than 100,000, you're looking at 1 million. And this is relatively modest. I mean, even if I were to, let's cap it at 7%, right? So where do we get up to 7%? There. Okay. So at 7%, I'm going to keep it stable. Okay. So no one else gets the disease after 7%, and it's 1.5 million. And this will keep going up. I'm going to extend this down. Although it does plateaus out not too bad. And it goes up to 1.5 million. Oh, it's because there's a it's because this. I need to extend this out. And I'm on the wrong. Oh no, there we go. So yeah, if it went up to 7%, then went down again, you would be looking at plateauing out at 1.5 million. So it really is. You're just going up to a 7% spread rate for, what's that? From day 70 to day 90 for 3 weeks is worth an order of magnitude in deaths. And if I leave it at 7%, which is what I was about to do, let's leave it at 7% like that. All right, we'll leave it at 7%, and all of a sudden you're up to, 10 million dead. Right, that's because the graphs don't realize that there's only 300 million people in America. So this would cap out at about 2 million. But, this just gives you some idea of how modest. You don't have to go back to, full viral spread rate. Just actually having it hover at 7% would be horrific for America. So, yeah, that's basically all I wanted to cover for today. The importance that even when America does reopen, and I just don't see these messages coming out of the media to either Americans or to people in the UK that it is absolutely critical that you treat everything as toxic, because otherwise, a couple of percent in the spread rate is the difference between 100,000 dead and 1 million. Anyway, so if you found that useful, drop a thumbs up. Many thanks for watching, and see you next time.